There's still a little bit of that breakfast left if you wanted some. But let's see what you'd like to do. Ooh. So, we've just been doing a bit of reading. We've been doing the reading of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Under the sea. So if you wanted to, we could have a little discussion about that. Or, like I told you, I've prepared some information about working conditions in Victorian times. Working conditions, Victorian times. So we could have a little discussion about that and how things have changed. Or you could choose something else. What would you like to do today? Have a chat about the book we've been reading, Working Conditions in Working Conditions in Victorian Times. That's a good choice. So let's just see how well you're pointing today. So the era that we're talking about is the VICTORIA and N. Yeah, the Victorian era. Okay, so I found this feature in this magazine. Look, I'll just read that. The story of the Victorians. And this one, a little lot together. I wonder if you could read this. Not sure whether you can look at this print size. Let's see if you can. Show me the words. What did it say? S-T-R. Very good. I-K-I-N-G, striking. A-L-I-G-H-T. Very nice. Striking a light. This is a very clever title for this particular article because the feature was about a factory where they made matches. M-A-T-C-H-E-S. And of course matches are used to light things, and there is an expression called sort of striking a match. So if you had a box of matches and you wanted to light a match, you would hold the box like this, and this would be, say, the match, and the match might have like a rubber end on it, okay, and you'd go, this would be how you strike the match. You have to go like that. So you strike the match. What do you do to a match? You S-T-R-I-K and E-S. You strike a match. And that lights it, and then you know we use matches, don't we, to start the barbecue. We have to light the coals when we're having a barbecue, and we use a match for that. You'd use matches for things like campfires as well, nowadays anyway. Yeah. So this article was called Striking a Light. Now, So we've just looked at what striking means in terms of lighting a match. Do you know what the word strike means in any other sort of context, I wonder? Maybe you could give me a sentence. I-T-M-E-A, very nice, N. It means W. You were doing so well. E, don't get anxious. It means W, after the W, I, T. Oh yes, this will make sense. W-I-T, H with H. Very good. O, L, that was L. D, I, N, G. It means withholding. L, A, B, W, O. Come on, after the O. Always finish the word. U, R. Oh yes. It means withholding labour. Yeah, you're exactly right. So we don't actually hear of many strikes at the moment, but certainly when I was growing up, there was quite major strikes in the UK where, for example, one of the big ones I can remember was the coal miners. They all went on strike because of their conditions and pay. And when, at that point, we had lots of coal-fired power stations who weren't able to keep running. So we had all sorts of power cuts. I can remember doing my homework from school and I had to have candles to do my homework by because there was no electricity. So, and that was because the coal mines had gone on strike. So yes, strike means withholding labour. Anyway, let's have a look at this particular one from Victorian times. So, we're talking about 1888, and the factory that made matches was called Bryant and May. And there is still a company called Bryant and May around today. Now, in those days, what would matches be needed for? What do you think? L-I-G-H-T-I-N-G, lighting. F-I-R-E and S, yeah, lighting fires. Because they wouldn't have any central heating or things like that in houses, so they'd have fires to heat the house. And even when I was growing up, we had fires in our house. Grandma's house didn't have central heating. We had coal fires, and we had to get matches to light them with. So that's one use of them. Anything else that they might be used for? So lighting fires. L-I-G-H-T-I-N-G, lighting. L-A-M. Oh yeah, L-A-M. After the M, Q wouldn't make sense. Go one over. P would make sense. Lighting lamps, yes. Lighting candles. And can you imagine how many matches you might go through in a day? So actually it was a big business Everybody needed matches. You know, there was no batteries for torches or anything like that. So the founder was William Bryant. William Bryant. And eventually his sons took over the running of the factory. It was a very powerful factory, very powerful business. They basically, you know, they kind of dominated. There was lots of people who needed to earn money, who needed work, and if anything, the owners of these factories, they almost had too much power. What do you think I mean by too much power? What would I mean by the factory owners having too much power over the workers? What might that result in? It, C, O, after the O, U, good, L and D, it could, M, go on, after the M, keep going, E, A, could mean T, H, E, Y, it could mean they, T, O, O, after the O, don't get stuck, O, go on, K, could mean they took, A, go on, next letter, after the A, D, good, V, good, A, N, T, A, G, E, it could mean they took advantage, O, of, go on, after the of. So powerful, when we talk about powerful, it means it could mean that they took advantage of T, H, E, the, E, M, P, L, O, Y, E, after the E, and S, it could mean that they took advantage of the employees. You're exactly right. That is what happened. So listen to this. They were so powerful that in this particular factory, the wages that people earned were actually driven down so that they became lower than they had been 10 years previously. People were so desperate for jobs that they would accept these terrible conditions. Can you imagine that, earning less for a day's work than someone who had worked there 10 years previously? And this is greed from the employers, you know, just making more and more profits and not really caring about the implications. So let's just think. There was one employee, 16 years old, and she earned 4 shillings. 4 shillings a week. Today that would be equivalent to 20p. 4 shillings a week, and all she could use that money for was to pay her rent, and then the only money she had left, she managed to buy bread and she had bread for every single meal. She had no money for anything else. So just summarise that for me. T H E V W A G E, the wages, S, the wages. Now you did an S, I wasn't sure whether that was just the S of wages, so go from there. The wages. Think about that girl only earning 4 shillings. W E R E, where, B A R E, after the E, L would be good, L, we're barely, the wages, we're barely. See if this makes you go a bit quicker if you use the pencil. Okay? We're barely, E, N, O, after the O, touch that O again, O, next letter, next letter, next letter, U and G and H and T and O and L and, I'll take that as an L, I and, where? Go on. After the I, after the W would make sense, V would, V and E and, this is good, O and N, yes, the wages were barely enough to live on. That's a very good summary of that, of what that whole sentence means. So I wonder why was that allowed to happen, and could that happen today? What do you think? If people worked in a factory today, would the factory owners be allowed to pay them such low wages that there wasn't even enough to live on? What do you think? T H E R E, there is, A M I N I, good, M, very good. After the M, U and N, and there is a minimum, W and, go on, A and G and E, there is a minimum wage, S and E and T. Yeah, so today there is a minimum wage set, quick, go on, quick, B, Y, by, G, O, ooh, keep your grip on that, V, E, Oh, that's just an impulse. You don't need to do that. Tell yourself, I'm going to take that hand out there. R. Go on. N. Finish the word. M. Must be E. All the way up. Move your elbow. Move that elbow. Lift your arm. Go for the E. E. We've done gov, N, and finish it with the T. Let's get that moving. Yeah, today there is a minimum wage set by government, which is supposed to be enough to live on. I mean, actually, there is quite a debate about whether that is actually enough to live on, but then there's other social protections that are in place to help people. There's things like universal credit and various other benefits to help people even if they are earning a low income. All right, but in those days there wasn't anything like this at all. Even, you know, if we talk about this idea of the employers being very powerful, it wasn't just powerful in terms of the wages that they were able to set. It was also powerful in terms of the working conditions. The working conditions. And those working conditions could be very poor. It could be the number of hours that people had to work each day, and it could be the safety. You all right? You're feeling a bit tired. It could be the number of hours and the safety. If you were to take a guess, how many hours do you think that these people in the matches factory had to work each day at the factory? Take a guess. How many hours do you think? 8. Okay, so your guess is 8. Well, actually, the answer was 14 hours they had to work each day. Just for practice, do 14. Hold it yourself. 1. Touch the 1 with that hand. 1, and then 4, straight to it. There you are, do it again. 1, and then, not the 3, 4. 4. So let's do a little calculation. If you started work at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 a.m, and you had to work 14 hours, what time would you finish in the evening? So start at 8 a.m. in the morning. What time would you finish in the evening if you worked 14 hours? So, let me hold it for you. Let me hold it for you and help you. What time would you finish in the evening? 1. 1, 4 for 14 hours. That's right. Starting at 8. Finish at what time? Finish at 1, 0. Yes, very good. So 14 hours, start at 8, finish at 10 p.m. Imagine that, so you wouldn't really have much time to have any sort of a life at all, would you? Okay, so listen. So let's just talk about some of the other working conditions in the factory. They had a system of fining people. Fines. So that would be money that would be taken from these very low wages that they were receiving already. They would be fined if a match accidentally caught fire. They could be fined for having dirty feet. They could be fined for talking to each other. And there's one example, if they tried to make any alterations to the machines. One person tried to alter the machine to prevent it cutting her hand. And she was told, look after the machine, never mind your fingers. And then one of her workmates using that same machine ended up getting her finger cut off and was then left unable to work, penniless. So just for practice, give me an example of a fine that was imposed. You might be fined for what? One thing. One thing you might be fined for would be, here, I'll do it on this one. One thing you might be fined for would be, wake you up a bit, you might be fined for D, I, yeah, R, T, Y, for having dirty, F, E, and T. I mentioned that, just being fined. For an example would be, you'd be fined for having dirty feet. That doesn't seem very fair, does it? So, let's just have another look. Oh yeah, so in this particular factory, the matches factory, there was another horrific problem, and that was that the workers could catch an industrial disease, and it was called phossy jaw, P-H-O-S-S-Y, jaw, phossy jaw. We'll have a practice at doing phossy. P, touch the P, with it, go straight to it with that finger. P, that's the Q, one over to the P. Oh, let me hold it first, do it this way first. One, P, P, H, O, S, S, Y, phossy, and now we'll do jaw, J-A-W, straight to the J. J, that's E, go J, and then the A, and then the W. Very nice, phossy jaw. Now then, let me see if I can find this picture. We'll have a look. Have a look at this picture. Can you see, give me your finger, can you see how that lady's jaw is kind of swollen around the jawline there, and there, yeah, and there as well, see, swollen jaw. This phossy jaw was a terrible disease. Basically, it was caused because white phosphorus was added to the tips of matches, so that's onto the tips, and this was so that they could strike a match anywhere. So for example, you wouldn't need to have the special box which had the rough edge to strike the match. If this white phosphorus was added to the match, they could just go up and it would strike, up, anywhere it would strike, yeah? So that's why they added it. Okay, but this was a very dangerous chemical because the girls that worked in the factory, they were exposed to it every day, and if you ingested even a small amount, it could lead to vomiting, it could lead to toothache, and it could lead to this swollen jaw. But it's worse than that. It wasn't just a swollen jaw. What happened was that this bone inside your jaw actually rotted away, and then it could even, the disease could spread to your brain, and you could end up having a horrible and painful death unless your whole jaw was removed. Could you imagine having to have your jaw removed? I don't even know if you'd be able to eat. It just sounds awful. So was phossy jaw a treatable disease? No. It C, O, V or U? Just tell yourself, do I want, you've done the O, O, C, O. It's C, O. Oh, your hand's getting a bit frozen there, let me help you. So touch the O again. O, it's C, O, U, L and D. It could L, good. Go on, E, and let's get moving. Quick, faster, faster. After the E, it could L, E. Tell you what, hang on. Just because, oh, going a bit slow, let's just see if this makes it a bit easier. We've done the E, it could L. We've done the, you did the E, A, and after the A, where? Push, push, D, it could lead, T and O and D, yes, E, very nice, A and T and H, yeah, you did well there. Okay, so was it a serious disease? It could lead to death, and to a very horrible death. So, and you know what Bryant and May did, the employers? They did nothing about it, except if they saw you with a swollen face, they would force you to have your teeth removed, and they may dismiss you altogether. So they took no responsibility at all. I had a little look at this information. It wasn't until 20 years later that phosphorus, this white phosphorus, was made illegal in the use of matchsticks. And what they started doing then was using red phosphorus, which they'd put just on the box of the matches, so just a little bit to help the match light when you struck it. Mm. Anyway, so these poor girls, and they were mainly girls working in this factory, were working in terrible conditions, as you can see. And there was a lady called Annie Besant who interviewed some of these girls and wrote a feature which was published. And the feature was called White Slavery in London. What do you think about that headline? White Slavery in London. It is G O O. It is good. It is good. Go on. What do you think about this headline? White slavery in London. It is good. It G E T as it gets. Y O U gets your A, very nice. After the A, T, go on, take that as double T, E, after the E, come on, get that all A-T-T-E-N-T-I-O-N. It is good, gets your attention. Yeah, that's what all good headlines gets your attention. That's what all good headlines should do. And they kind of summarise in the headline almost, what it's going to be about. So that's something to think about if you're ever writing a feature for something. You always want to, you've got your content, but then you always need to come up with a sort of a short, snappy headline to get people's attention. So basically, she interviewed some of the girls, and then she wrote this feature that basically said, how terrible the conditions were. And the owners, Bryant and May, when this was published, do you think they would be happy, or do you think they would be mad? Happy or mad? Yeah, they were furious because they'd been exposed, They thought that they had this good reputation worldwide, they were a household name, etc. And then all of a sudden this feature appeared that basically said that they were using their employees like slaves. What they tried to do then, they tried to get all of the workers to sign papers saying that they were very happy with their working lives. What do you think about that? If you were one of those workers, would you have signed to say, oh no, that feature is a load of rubbish, actually, I'm really happy with my working life. Would you? Would you sign that? What do you think? No. No, would you say? No, I wouldn't do it either. But the consequences of not signing might mean that, oh my God, you're going to have to go without money, without food. So you'd have to think very carefully about it. Anyway, what made the girls mad as well was not only did they want them to sign these letters, but then they sacked a very popular girl who they thought was one of the ones who'd spoken to Annie Besant. So all her friends were not happy about this at all. Okay, and so they decided to down tools and walk out. And they gave some terms. When I say they gave some terms to the employer, what do I mean? T-H-E, they, A-S, good, K-E-D, they asked, F-O, and after the O, F-O-R, they asked for, doing so well, I know you're getting tired, C-E-R-T, go on, after the T, go on, after the T, C-E-R-T-A, I, certain, T-H-I-N, very nice, G, they asked for certain, touch it then, S, their terms, they asked for certain things. Yeah, we'll just say they asked for certain things to be, complied with before they would return to work. And their terms were the popular girl who was sacked had to be reinstated. There had to be an end to these fines that they had put in place. And they also wanted a dining room in which they could go and have their lunch. Do you think that was reasonable? Were they reasonable requests? What would you think? Would you say that was reasonable? Why? For yes. It doesn't seem unreasonable to me. But do you think that Bryant and May just said, oh yeah, fine, okay, we'll do that? No, they didn't. So the factory lay idle for a week, and 1,100 employees paraded the streets, bringing attention really to what had happened to them. And they had to help each other out, you know, because they did, when they were during this 1 week, they'd have no money to buy food, no money to pay rent or anything. So they had to all help each other out. They might pawn things. Pawn means when you go and you take, like, so for example, if I really was short of money, I could take my rings, which are quite valuable, and I could go to a pawn shop and say, could I give you my rings and you give me some money? So he's not actually buying the rings off me, he's giving me some money as a loan really. And then when I've got money again, I can go back and sort of buy it back, but obviously I'll pay a bit more, so I will be paying some interest. You don't see many pawn shops nowadays, but in those days you did. So we were just talking about what sort of a shop? What sort of a shop were we talking about? Began with P. P. Oh. O. Okay. P. O. Come on, carry on. R. And. Okay. Yeah, that would be one way of spelling it, but that's a different type of pawn actually. The pawn shop I was talking about was P-A-W-N, pawn shop. P-O-R-N is a shop that sells pornographic type materials, images of, you know, naked people and all that sort of stuff. But a P-A-W-N shop is where you can take objects that might have some value and get some money. Okay, so basically, here's a picture, another picture to look at. Let's see. Have a quick look at this. Here we go. Here you go. I'll just show you here. Look. There they are. There's the ladies. These were all the ladies that went on strike. There. Yeah. And look. They went on. Basically what happened, I can see it's alright, we're nearly done now. So basically after 1 week, Bryant and May gave in and they accepted all the terms that the ladies had asked for. Alright. And the ladies effectively went on to form the Union of Women Matchmakers. So this was the start really of organisations, workers coming together to stand up for their rights. Low paid women and men to start saying, no, we're not going to put up with these terrible working conditions, right? We're going to stand up for our rights and we're going to really make sure that we're treated fairly. Now on this page, this is, you know, a picture, and this was from 1889, so this was 1 year after the ladies went on strike, the matchmakers, and look, this was West India Docks, striking dockers, right? So really they set the scene for what employees could do in the future if they were not being treated fairly. So there we are. So now we look back at the heading for the article. Striking a light, they went on strike. They brought attention, striking a light, lit up to their plight and what was going on in their factory, and ended up changing things, you know, for everyone, for the future. So, have you anything to say? Anything to say? T H E B L A D. Was that D? Wasn't sure. Hang on. Touch D again if it was. D, okay. The L-A-D. I can see you're getting tired. It's alright. We'll just do as best as you can. Finish off. The L-A-D. Where? Do you know what? We'll go to this one because you just... Yeah, use this one. So you did L-A-D. I, okay, E, and the ladies W, E, W, E, go on, W, E, R, E, ladies wear, S, U, very nice, S-U, C, E, you're there, just push. S, S, success, F, after the F, success, F, you're there, U, and very good, after the U, after the U. Okay, the ladies were successful. The ladies were successful. Come on. I, in, C, R, E, A, T, I, N, and after the N, creating. The ladies were successful in creating A, W, A, away, F, O, for, W, O, R, good, K, E, R, for workers. The ladies were successful in creating a way for workers. T, 2, S, after the S, T, A, N, D, to stand, did you want that Q? Not sure. U, okay, stand up, for workers to stand up. We're nearly finished. To stand up, go on. A, G, A, I, N, S. After the S, touch the S again, come on. S and go on, just get this last bit of energy going. Against, must be T, touch it, touch T. Stand up, against. See, you're getting really tired, okay. So I'm going to help. The workers, the ladies were successful in creating a way for workers to stand up against. Go on, do you want to do one more word? One more word, no, then I'll finish the rest. U, N, F, okay, A, I, okay, that's good, unfair, N, there's the N, where are you going next? Unfair, N and E and S, we'll take that against unfairness. Yeah, unfairness by powerful employers. I mean, it didn't sort out all of the problems forever, because these things still have gone on and on and on. I remember we did a session a while ago where we looked at the ladies, again it was ladies who went on strike at the Dagenham car plant, the Ford car plant. And again, they all had to unite together, so it's the power of uniting together that often is the thing that makes change. That was very good, Chris, thank you. Right, we'll take a little break now, because I can see that you're a bit tired. We'll go over and have some lunch. You have a little drink as well. Have a little drink, you did really well.